Good morning. This is Delor Haj with NovaStore. I'm the sales engineer on the XSP team, and I will be running the presentation today. I will be assisted by Eric Carlson from support, and he will be answering the questions that come up during this presentation concerning the CMC. We'll just wait one more minute before we get started, make sure everybody's on. Okay, I think we're ready to get started. So today's presentation is going to go over the practical aspect of the CMC. We will not have any PowerPoint slides or anything like that. What we're going to be doing is creating jobs. We're going to be adding job policies to agents, and we're going to be running a restore, all using the CMC on remote clients. Now, what is the CMC? The CMC is a central management console that allows users to manage the backup and restore processes for any number of customer installations via one central web-based interface, whether it's on a LAN or through the internet. Now, it has an easy-to-use interface for quick management of local and off-site customer backups. It enables you to remotely set up a client, connect to a client remotely, setting it up without RDPing to it or without having to be on-site and logging into the server. So it saves you a lot of effort there. It has a web interface that enables the administrator who's responsible for administering the clients to log in from any location, remotely by going online, opening a browser, going online to the CMC. And it enables you to monitor in-depth monitoring of everything that's happening, and we'll show this as we go here. So numbers, the first step, I will be logging into the CMC. This is the interface that you first see when you connect to it. Now, if you're connecting remotely, obviously, you want to enable DNS, a public DNS name in the CMC setup. In my case, I'm logging in locally here. So I will log in. The very first thing you'll see on the CMC is pretty much a summary of everything that's happening. It shows you, for example, the total number of agents that you have connected, that you are responsible for administering and monitoring on that CMC. It shows the number of backups that completed, the number of backups that did not complete, etc. One of the first things you can look at is the circle here. It's almost like a pie chart where you'll have the green that tells you, for example, in this case, 76.47% of all my clients passed the backup. About 21.85% of them have failed, so it's in red, and about 1.68% are currently backing up, so meaning they started. And on the bottom here, what you can see are the ones that failed in what days and you know, the frequency of failure there. So what this helps you with is just from one screen being able to look and see, okay, how am I doing? How are my backups performing? And also it kind of gives you a summary. It puts it all together. Okay, these are all my backups that worked. These are my backups that are not working. Maybe I need to revisit these certain agents or clients and see why they're not working. Now, if I were to press here on agents and groups, the CMC enables you to connect to clients, or actually the clients connect to the CMC so the CMC can manage it. What I'm looking at here are my agents or my clients. I have this client, AG Buffalo WSS, SI File Server, SI Backup Server, etc. And when I look at this screen, under connected, I'll see the green, the yellow, and sometimes it's gray. So if it's gray, meaning it's not connected, If it's yellow, it means it's connected, it is, but the service is not on. If it's green, that means it's connected and working perfectly. On the right-hand side, last backup status. So in this case here, it's not. There's no backup status here. In this case, it's blue, meaning it's running as we speak. If it's green, it means it passed, and I have two of them here. And if I were to have one that failed, it would be color red. So at first look, I'm able to go and concentrate on the ones that are either red or the ones that have high priority, the ones that are not backing up at the moment. So the backup policies are created in the CMC, and they are basically the backups that are made available for the management console to either edit or you can even delete them, or you can add them to certain agents, and we'll give an example of that a little later, so you'll see how it is. Change password, you can just go here. It's very simple. It's self-explanatory. And log out, and if you have any questions, you can go about or help. So if I were to go here right now, we're going to be doing a quick two things. Number one, we're going to create a job. And number two, we're going to add a job that has already been created. And it's going to go from a list of policies, and we're going to add it to the agent. So this is an agent. I'm selecting SI Backup Server, for example. If I were to, oh, by the way, before I forget, the groups, these agents can be selected or set up in a way where there are parts of groups. For example, if I were to have a group that's, in my case here, it's called servers. There's another group there that has no name. It's by default, it's called pending, so this is part of the default group. And I can add these agents to certain groups just to help with the management of these groups, just to put them together. For example, I can create a group that is company A. So if I have 5 companies, each company have it under a group, or I can create a group that is more geared toward the application I'm trying to back up. Example would be a group for Exchange Server, or a group for which would contain all my agents that are doing Exchange backups. Another one would be for SQL, MS SQL group that would contain all of my agents that are running SQL Server backups, or a file server backup, even desktops. So that's the whole idea behind it. Is basically the whole idea behind the CMC is to enable management of all the agents or all the clients basically across the internet. And you can easily add a group by going here and adding the name of the group, description, and pressing OK. So this step right now, I'm going to create a backup job. It's very simple. I right-click on the agent. In this case, is backup server. Press OK. It tells me, OK, this is part of the group servers. This is the name of the agent right here, the machine name. And I go to backup. Now I can do two things. I can either add an existing backup that I've already created. For example, if I have a backup that I've created for Exchange and I want to standardize the way I want to run Exchange backups, I can just add a certain backup that I already created and press OK. If I want to, in the case, what I'm going to go over here is add a new backup, and it's as simple as following the wizard. So you press. That. So if I were to add new, I can, create test backup. So I'm creating backup. I'm giving it a name. Description is for demo. The backup name here, call it anything really. Backup here. I'll press next. I go to the next step. I can select any of these here, selected the e-accounting folder or the document folder, or I can have a select items manually. Just like you would do it on the agent, you would do it on the through the CMC. I can go select whatever I want to back up, okay, and system state, and I press next. Now this is where I select where I want to back it up to. Just like the agents, you're able to do backup to online with the same agent as a full-blown client that enables you also to do backups to tapes, backups to folders on the same hard drive, on the C drive, backup to D drive partition, backup to NAS, backup to a network. So you're not limited at all whatsoever. So I'm going to open here backup to. I would like to name this again. I'm going to call this test backup media, just for me to enable me to find it better. I can do backup to tape. I can select it here. I can do backup to network. Select anywhere I want to back it up to. If I want to back it up to AGWS ChatC, I can do that and select public documents. And or I can select backup to C drive. So I'm really not limited. I can back up to wherever I want to back it up to. Press OK. Now I created the device. I go next, and this is where I decide whether I want to do a full incremental, differential, or a snapshot. And as you can see, it's very similar to the client. There's nothing to learn. You already know this. So over here you have either overwrite media, append to media. I can set filters, just like I can include, say, only the documents that I want to include, the .docs or .excel sheets. If I want to exclude certain file servers, for example, have a lot of videos, a lot of workers waste time and put in video or MP3s on the file servers, and administrators don't like backing these up because they take a lot of storage. So I can exclude the MP3s, I can exclude the MPEGs, etc., just like the client. This is the encryption. I can encrypt files on the backup, antivirus if I want to run it exactly like the client. Got some commands, for example, if I would like to execute a certain a certain program prior to the backup, I can go ahead here just like the client and execute it. Similarly, if I want to execute something after, then I will go here, browse for it, and I can execute it. Run as, that's either logged in user or specific user if you want to, for example, if it can only run using domain admin, then this is where I go to select it. And then I personally prefer the detail for notification. It makes it easier to troubleshoot. Now, it creates longer logs, but that's fine with me because it cuts a lot of time when it comes down to troubleshooting, and I can be backing up a lot faster like that. Press next, and I'm done. I have a schedule. I can either run a one-time schedule. I can run per minute, hourly, daily, weekly, monthly. It is exactly like the client. There's nothing to learn. It's very simple. You're only, instead of RDPing or being on site, having to go on site to log into the server and then create a backup, you're able to do it from here. Okay, now similarly, I would like to go over restore here. The restore will have, again, the same, it's just as powerful as being on site or being logged in through RDP. Now, I can restore whatever I backed up through the disk backups. I can restore whether I backed up to tapes, network backup, or XSP, which is the online backup. And again, I would just, for example, if I were to have here, I'll see whatever files I'm backing up. I'll select the backup set, select what I want to back up. What I want to restore. I press next, and I press finish, and it works exactly like the client. There's nothing, it's not rocket science. Now, finally, these are the devices that I have created for this on this client, and these are the logs. I personally love this part here because I can just go to the press view, and I see. I don't have to log in. I don't have to ask anybody, and from a support perspective, when you have a client who's either new or who can't read the log yet, or they cannot understand what issues they're having, I can just go here. Or in many cases, many of your clients going to be non-technical, so you don't have to basically call and convince them to send you a log. You can just go here, press view, see what happens. Okay. And that pretty much summarizes the CMC. Again, it's a great tool. It's a management tool. It is not doesn't require reinventing the wheel or learning a new product. If you know how to back up, if you use the client, then you're able to use the CMC. In this case, you're able to connect to it from anywhere you are in the world. You don't have to be on site. You don't have to convince customers to open your RDP port in the firewall. So now we're gonna go ahead and open it for questions. Now we have questions that we're answering online. We have questions that you can go ahead and ask. We have about 10 minutes left. And any questions we don't get to, please feel free to send it to either support or myself, Delor from engineering, from sales engineer. We have a question here. Somebody raised their hand to ask, does the console need IAS? The answer is no. It does when you do the install on the console, and that's a very good question because the CMC can be installed on either a server OS or it can be installed on a desktop OS. It could be installed on a virtual machine. Now, if you're doing if you're doing backups. Or if you install the CMC on a machine that on an XP, Windows XP or Windows 7, then it comes with its own SQLite database as well as its own service that would not require to have IAS installed. However, if you have the option to use IAS during the installation as well as MS SQL. Now, I have a question. How do you deploy to your customers using the CMC? Now, the CMC, at least at this stage, is more of a management tool of more than it is a tool that would enable to deploy. So basically, once they're deployed the way you've been deploying, either through FTP or whichever way it's been done, then all you have to do is enable the client to go ahead and connect to the CMC to find the CMC. And once it finds the CMC, you're able to manage the CMC, manage the clients through the CMC. Will you do another demo like this one? Yes. We always have webinars. I believe the second one is on the 17th. Normally we cover the webinars from the XSG products, whether it's the CMC, the client, the virtual one, the BE virtual, which backs up virtual machines on ESXi servers without installing agents on either the VM or the ESX server. So it takes no resources at all from your ESX server or the VMs running on that ESX server. We pretty much cover everything, the XSP storage server. We have webinars scheduled for the commerce server, etc. Really all of we have tons of webinars, and if you go to the webinar site, to the link, and you're able to sign up to the webinars. Yes, absolutely. I have a question. Will the console work over a LAN with multiple firewalls? Obviously, okay, it's simple, really. The clients connect to the CMC using the default port 4502. The manager, the person who's responsible for managing the CMC, will be able to connect to the CMC using port 80. It's a matter of opening a firewall. If it's behind a firewall, then whether it's multiple firewalls, you can open multiple firewalls. Now that's not very common. That's not the case out there. I haven't seen multiple firewalls, but generally speaking, I've seen 4502 needs to be open, just like port 308 needs to be open for the client to communicate with the storage server. How do you publish this program so it is available via web? The CMC installs on either a desktop OS or on a uh, any Windows OS, Windows 2008, Windows 2003, and it's nothing more than a website that you'd log into basically and command the clients using the tools available by this website. So it's published by basically having it installed, configured the firewall, and you're done. Really simple. And just like it is easy to do the backups here by following Wizard, the install is Wizard driven. And it makes a lot of sense. The only thing you have to, I would say, actively think of is what website, how am I going to get to it from the outside if that's how you want to implement it. Now, some people like it behind their firewall. They don't want it up on open online. So they can just simply use it depending on your security policies inside the company. You can use it within the firewall. You can only get to it from the LAN versus the WAN. It really is highly configurable, and there's no right or wrong way when it comes to this one. David Rose, you're welcome to call me. David is asking, is there a Nova Store helpline that would get me to a human for tech help? Can't seem to find it. So yeah, you can call me on. My name is Delor. I'm the sales engineer here, or you can email me at delor.haj@novastore.com. So the port for the CMC, there's two ports. One is port 4502, which enables the clients to connect to the CMC, and there's port 80, which enables the administrator to connect to the CMC to manage the client that are connected on port 4502. Port 308, and these are default ports that can be changed depending on your needs. It's just a matter of selecting that port number and changing it. And there's also port 308, which has not been changed, and that's for the storage server where the clients connect to the storage server. And it's worth mentioning that these ports are only open on the MSP's firewall inbound, so you don't have to worry about it at the clients. Now, 99.99% of clients have their firewall, enabling outbound traffic without blocking anything. So that's typically the case. So you don't have to convince anybody to open any ports. Okay, I have a good question. You mentioned offline backup. As a managed service provider, can we use our own storage server? Okay, so the storage server is behind your firewall, and it's communicating with the client that is behind the client firewall through port 308. So you're doing the backup there, but what I was saying, I guess, to be more clear, is that client that is connecting to the storage server is a full-blown functional client, meaning you can, just like I showed in the presentation, you're able to back up to tape, you're able to recover from tape, you're able to back up B2D, back up to drives. You can have, for example, online backup running, and you have 1 week of backup cycle on hand in the case of certain customers who have recovery time objective that is hard to meet online. So there's it's highly configurable. It meets the majority of clients' needs out there. Basically, you can easily go in to a client with 3 different proposals, one talking about online, one talking about file, one talking about imaging. So it's all done through that one client, and this is the strength of NovaStore, and that's what makes what enables you to say more yeses than nos. Okay, so I'll answer one more question here, and then okay, so what about laptops that are not connected to the internet or via Wi-Fi? That's actually a good question, and here's that, which brings up why the client is the one. Now, if laptops obviously are not connected via online or via Wi-Fi, they're not connected to anything. The only thing you can do on it is really local backup. However, they do connect at one time. I mean, previous to this, I was doing a lot of outside sales where I had a laptop that was backed up on a daily basis or whenever I'm on. So with these laptops, when they're connected to Wi-Fi, connected to online, they're able to back up to the online server, and they can be also managed by the CMC because the client is the one that is finding the CMC. So the client could be, that is installed on the laptop, could be running on a DHCP, could have, it does not necessarily have to have a static IP address. So it will find the CMC no matter where it's at. And you're able to manage that client from wherever you are, from actually wherever the client is with the laptop. Okay, and that brings us to the end of the presentations. Any questions that we were not able to answer, please feel free to send support or myself an email with any questions you might have and or any use cases you need help with. Well, thank you for your time, and have a great day.